Alright, so floor pan is in. Still need to do here. This is patched, there's some other patches down there. The lower cab mount does have a patch in this section. The rest was all fine. Things still need to be ground, cleaned up a little bit more. The edge, it's got some pitting. So, well, enough section there. Damn mosquitoes. God, I hate mosquitoes. The back section here, welded in. This lower section of the floor back here and under the brace is welded in. I have to rebuild the top of this tube still and make a section for here. One thing is you don't want to remove too much at once, because if you do, you risk your cab going like this in the doorway. So I have to do all this stuff before I can do the outer and put this in. The reason this is welded to the underside is because the doorpost lays over it and I want it to still be flat. It still needs some more welding and a side piece here. Now, granted, I am aware that they make a rocker or sill plate or whatever you want to call it and other patches, but money is here and there lately, and basically I don't mind patching it. I mean, I got plenty of the right thicknesses of steel. I don't mind bending the panels. So I could have made a floor pan, but I did buy a floor pan. It just happens to be there's some things I bought, some things I didn't. For instance, this section, it's just less shaping to do. Back there, I do have an outer floor section because the floor itself only needs a front corner piece. And of course the kick panel, they don't make that anyway, so I'll just fix that. Underneath here for the seat belt, it does have a reinforcing piece. You can see I still have not welded that stuff. There's still a lot of welding to do, but once everything is ground, seam sealer, rust protection stuff, have to remember you do need drains, so there will be a drain or check valve in here so water goes out but doesn't come in. Same with up here. I already did that one. And no, I don't put the foam back in. I know they say it's for sound dampening, but I've never had an issue leaving it out. So that's just how it's going to be. And then of course I still need to weld a piece here and here and a couple other things, clean that up, weld these back up, and then I have to do the anchors for the large mirrors that I have for the truck so they can actually see around the bed, because it's a little hard to see. But the new core support is in. Same with the mounts. They're not height adjusted yet or tightened. I have new front shocks, and I still have the other front springs to put in and shackles. For the most part, a lot of it is adjusted. I got the brand new OEM headlights. I got my steps here. It's really nice when you can actually step up to check your engine. You got something to stand on. Clearly the side is not painted yet. I didn't do this side yet because I still have to do some repairs to the door. The reason I actually painted the top part of these lights is because they're so bright being LED versus how the old lights were, that it just blinds the mirror to where you can't really see. The rear suspension has new springs, and I put new supports. Got the rear mud flaps, which is, kind common, but I did add front mud flaps to help keep this stuff from flying against the cab, which has actually been very helpful for some of these muddy roads around here. Got my rear steps, my helper handles to help me hop up in the truck since I don't have the best legs anymore, especially the one that was crushed in an accident. Custom bumper that I built. I still need to paint it. The Studebaker bed is basically all redone. I mean, I did not restore the bed, because if I did, I would not have overlapped. I would have did the butt joint and everything, so it was all seamless. And when it comes to the bed floor, I did not buy the new strips because it was about $700 for those. If you look here, you can see this patch in here, and there's a patch here. Reason for that is this bed has been on several different vehicles over the years. One of them was a short wheelbase, so they had to cut here. Another one was a dually, so they cut these out. My patches are actually, I think this side's an old 60s Cub Cadet snow thrower. That side's a 70s Murray snow thrower. I think this came out of a Simplicity cutting deck. It's like this section of steel here is actually from a 68 Sears lawn tractor. This piece of steel is from a Simplicity belt cover from mid 70s. These are actually from a late 50s lawn roller that, you know, not painted yet. But I mean, the thing is, a lot of the stuff I figure, if the steel's that old and in that good a condition, I know it's got good carbon ratio and everything, and it's gonna hold up, versus some stuff where I bought new sheets of steel and some of them just started pitting really badly, and they actually had been inside, just the condensation from sweating over the winter and summer months. And you know, that's actual steel plate that steel plate that I bought from directly from a manufacturer or steel plant supplier. Man, I don't know why I couldn't figure out that word. One thing though, it's interesting. I did not have to bend these. I just welded basically a nut to a washer and then welded the washer in here so I had a thread. But these two pieces on the front and the lift arms, these drop braces, and these pieces, other than the diamond plate, that's all one lawn tractor frame. It's a mid-60s mid-engine rider, Sears. It's a tube frame, so it had all the structure and everything I needed. So I used all but about 1.5 inches of the frame, and that gave me all of that stuff. So I'm actually pretty pleased with that. I figure if you can reuse something, reuse it. Now, I'm not saying be a hoarder and just have shit everywhere, because it's like, oh, I got this little, I've gone to place and they got all these little chunks of steel, and I never know. I'm like, yeah, but you got like 50 of them, and you might as well get rid of some and keep the bigger pieces, because honestly, you get too much crap. Same with people that save little chunks of wood. I can understand a couple, but, you know, damn. But anyway, once the truck's done, I still got to do this section frame. The back of the frame has pour 15. I don't want to say pro, but it's pour. I'm not sure why. And basically, the truck's getting there. I would love to have had a moon visor on there with the lights on the top, but that's just not going to happen. I did already rebuild the instrument cluster. I actually used a orange permanent marker because I prefer the orange gauge arrows, and the light still shines through it. So then you got, I replaced this. When it comes to the switch itself, the switch was bad. The spring was actually like all torn up, and the plug was melted. So I had a van that I'm parting out, and it had the same plastic, but the wires were different. So I actually undid every single terminal and brought it over and switched one at a time to give me a new pigtail end, more or less. This one that operates the 1965's fire truck spotlight, and this operates the fog lights. The shifter does not have the circle around the D, which, being an automatic E40D with the overdrive, it should. But this is the first time I've ever seen where this indicator was broke versus like the clip being broken. So I had the one from the van, so I put that in there. I mean, I still know what the transmission is, so it's like, well, I know what the D is. I don't care if it has the overdrive or not. I mean, the overdrive's up there. I don't need to see the little the little stupid arrow. But you know, for the most part, I do have new rear rubber cab mounts. Not installed yet. I figured get all the floor done, everything braced, and then I will adjust the height and clearance of fenders and everything else. These pockets were all rotted off, so I had these bent up. I did add these myself because that would have been an extra cost at the steel shop, and I just wanted to bend the angles for me, and I replaced all those. I built these mounts. So basically you got your square channel or square tubing and then a cap over it welded. Same, this one is angled and that has the angle iron here. And I actually used old rubber mud flaps that have the reinforcing webbing. So you have that here, you have them in here, and then you have them here with large washers and large bolts. And the reason I did that, and it's only bolted here, but bolted and welded up here, because a flat bed on a Ford frame, they're riveted and they need to flex. If you were to weld it solid on both sides, you're very likely to crack the frame. Now I have these on the front and back. The only thing I've not added yet is the diagonal brace, which basically just helps hold the bed, so if there's an accident, everything doesn't. I feel like it's supposed to be 47 degree, but I honestly can't remember at the moment. I do have new parking brake cables. This tank has been replaced already. We replaced that, I believe 2 years ago now. So you can see I still got to clean up the underside, and that's going to get a sealer, because a lot of people, I hate when I see like someone's like, oh, I put floor pans, but they don't seal it and they leave gaps. And same with the there's just a lot of things I don't like when people half-ass stuff. If you're gonna do it right. If you notice, the Cadillac converter's there but no muffler. That is because somebody stole my muffler. They cut it off. I'm assuming they thought that was a Cadillac converter, and that's why they did it that way, because there's really no value in an old muffler. But that's fine with me, because I have a muffler, and the Cadillac converter is the expensive thing anyway. So anyway, that's the truck more or less. When it comes to the front, we did do the outer tie rods and adjusters. I have brand new axle pivot bushings. This side, the spring has been replaced. You have to, I need to get the front end aligned, but I don't want to do it until all the stuff's done, because otherwise it's just going to be kind of pointless. I don't get the front end adjusted and it's not sitting straight anyway, and then you rebuild it, and then it's going to need to be redone. So it does have the steering stabilizer under there, which has definitely been a nice addition. I've done that on several of my vehicles, and it does give a nice smoother ride when you're hitting bumps. And you do notice when the cylinder does go out. I will say that, because on one truck I had it fail on the Zewalki Bridge, and I really did start noticing the swaying coming back. So sorry for the long video, but you know, that's what happens when you start ranting.